this back. If anybody joins in late or anything like that, you're able to watch this back on the back end of your microsite. But I'd just like to welcome our directors here today. So we have Jason Pitt, the CEO of the Maiden Group. We have Charles Addison, the Managing Director of the Maiden Group, and our other director, Ilona Pit. So thank you all for joining us today. It looks like we have Andy joining us now shortly, so I'm just going to get started with my short introduction, and then I'll pass you over to our directors, and then afterwards Andy. So good morning everybody, and thank you for joining us today. Thank you for those who joined us a little earlier as well and heard from the directors already. So we've invited you here today for the official launch of the Made Futures project. The Made Futures exhibition taking place from today until the 26th of March, and the jobs board, which has been launched to tackle one of industry's biggest and ongoing challenges. So with so many people losing their jobs over the course of the pandemic, coupled with the ongoing skills shortage in the UK manufacturing sector, our aim is to create 1,000 jobs in UK industry. So if you're an exhibitor at this exhibition, you should have received your login already. If you haven't, you will be receiving it shortly. So today, like I said, we have the Maiden Group directors, Jason, Charles and Ilona. First, we'll hear from them to talk about the launch of the event. And if you haven't noticed already, like I said, we have Andy Street also joining us, the Mayor of the West Midlands. So thanks for joining us today, Andy.
Thank you.
Great. So now I'll hand you over to Jason Pitt, the CEO of the Maiden Group. Over to you, Jason.
Thanks, Yasmin. I'd just like to thank everybody for attending today. This is a unique event. We've spent months building it, and the idea is we've created this virtual exhibition. So obviously during the pandemic, we can't do this in real life, so this is the next best thing. We're calling it the 1K Jobs Challenge. So in our jobs board, we've already got 146 jobs. Plenty of their members are recruiting. Manufacturing companies have this massive issue, which is a skills gap. There are not enough people with skills to do the jobs required in British industry. And the British industry is a really important part of the UK economy. Arguably, it's the wealth generation of all of the nation state. So if you look at what makes a nation state wealthy, you really need a manufacturing sector, a buoyant one. So it's important that we retain capacity. It's important that we retain skills. It's important that we make manufacturing attractive to young people. So people need to sort of, perhaps look at it as a modern industry, an industry that's got opportunities, and an industry which has got this skills shortage. So if you can get a career in manufacturing, it's a really good, rewarding industry to be in. And if we look at the pandemic, manufacturing companies were critical in terms of the pandemic response. So PPE, ventilator parts, and of course now the Made in Britain vaccine. So I'd just like to finish by thanking everybody for attending, and hopefully you'll enjoy the week. Thanks, Yasmin.
Thank you very much for that, Jason. So now I'm going to pass you over to Charles Addison, who I mentioned is the Managing Director of the Maiden Group. So over to you, Charles, please. Thank you.
Hi, welcome everyone. I'm Charles, one of the directors, now Managing Director of the Made in the Midlands and Made in Yorkshire Network. Thank you very much for attending. I just wanted to say, also reiterating what Jason said, over the last 12 years of being in the group and running our various manufacturing councils, forums, advisory boards, particularly the skills related discussions always end up in a little bit of a bun-slinging match over the rhetoric of the skills gap that we talk about in the manufacturing space and a lost generation. So this is a culmination of everybody's ideas and efforts really into a concise effort. Representing now something in the region of 140 billion pounds worth of UK manufacturing in our networks. If we can help empower you today, both as employers and job seekers in the room, to be an effective conduit, then that really is the goal. And there's some wonderful examples of events and initiatives driven in their isolation and often a little bit ad hoc across the area. The thing we've got today is this isn't a government funded project, so it's something that is being funded by the private sector completely. So I'd like to just thank all of the members on the call for your ongoing support and enthusiasm and giving us the confidence to try something like this. I'd just like to say, obviously, this is day one of the launch of the event, so we're expecting this over the course of the year to be a resource for firms to be able to get out and interact with local job seekers in the area. And a hearty congratulations and thanks to all of the people on the call, young and old, whether you're students, job seekers, whether you're graduates, skilled engineers, for putting yourselves into an environment, because as Jason said, there's no easy way of doing this at the moment. This is a coalition of willing participants. It's with great pride and enthusiasm and joy that we open the event this morning. So thank you very much and enjoy the week.
Thanks very much for that, Charles. Some really nice, inspiring words there, so thank you. And finally, wrapping up the introductions from our directors is Ilona Pitt. So over to you, Ilona.
Good morning, everyone. It's Ilona Pits, and director at Made in the Midlands and Made in Yorkshire. Just a few words from me. So Made Futures Jobs Board and Virtual Careers and Skills Exhibition project has been a project of many weeks in the making. And I would like to take this opportunity to thank the management team for the ongoing vision and leadership. I'd like to thank our employees and suppliers for their hard work and dedication. And of course, I'd like to thank all of the Made Group members for their ongoing support. Without these people, this event would not have been possible. And then my message to job seekers and attendees, whatever your background, education, or gender, there is a place for you in the manufacturing and engineering space, and it offers numerous career options for dedicated individuals willing to learn and grow in an ever-changing environment. We hope that this week's events will connect you to the right people and inspire you to work in the sector. So I wish you good luck. Thanks again.
Thank you for that, Ilona. So now I'm going to pass you over to Andy Street, the Mayor of the West Midlands. Thanks again for joining us today, Andy. Over to you.
Thank you very much, Yasmin, and my privilege really to come and join the launch of the Made Futures project campaign, virtual exhibition, whatever we want to call it. And perhaps I should just start by thanking Jason, Charles, and indeed Ilona for their words of introduction, but probably like they've said, most importantly, thanking your members for their support for the organisation, which has made this brilliant virtual exhibition possible. It is actually very humbling just to see, looking through your material, what you're going to be able to do in a week of activities all virtually. And if I'd asked you 12 months ago if we'd been able to do that, I suspect you'd have said no way. So it's a lovely sort of live example of how far we've come. But in another sense, on the theme of how far we've come, we should remember just how far manufacturing has come across the West Midlands. And I'm sure in Yorkshire as well. I should say that to be non-partisan, shouldn't I? But we all know, of course, about the rich history of manufacturing across the West Midlands, birthplace of the Industrial Revolution, as we so often say. But also what we know is manufacturing is still so important to our economy. Higher proportion of our GDP than any other region of the country comes from manufacturing. And of course, a stat that was so in my mind in all the Brexit negotiations, and it was brilliant to come together with lots of trade bodies to get a sensible Brexit deal, keep pressing for that, is that 24% of our GDP comes from the exports of goods in the West Midlands, and it's only 8% in London. So it really does show the significance, the huge success of our manufacturing sector here, whether it be across automotive, which we all know about, and just one stat I really love, 40% of cars exported from the UK are made in the West Midlands, and over 50% of automotive R&D is in the West Midlands. And then, of course, we see the brilliant aerospace sector, and it's been a wonderful thing in the last few years just to get to know the Midlands Aerospace Alliance. And then, of course, looking further forward, we're seeing the really exciting sectors around transport, manufacturing, transport technologies, and increasingly some of the new sectors, whether they be the green sectors or indeed the life sciences sector. So much at stake. But equally, I know that the pandemic initially hit the manufacturing sector pretty hard, actually, didn't it? And we saw all the stories of closed factories, reduced demand. But it was lovely, therefore, to hear that you have got current vacancies and many businesses are bouncing back. And I know it is variable between sectors. If you're in the aerospace sector, my goodness, it's so much harder than if you're in the life sciences manufacturing sector. So it's good to see some bounce back, at least. But we do know across the West Midlands region, we've had a horrible hit from the pandemic on our economy. 95,000 is the increase in the number of people who are looking for work now. So all our progress from the few years before knocked back. And so it's on the basis of that that I'm so pleased with what you are doing today, because obviously we've got to think how we bounce back. And of course, it's also on the basis of that, if I'm allowed to say this, that we've put together our mayoral plan for jobs for the recovery. I'm going to hold up Exhibit A. We call it our plan for jobs. We're after 100,000 jobs in just 2 years. So more than making up for the jobs that we have lost. And that would be the most rapid expansion in jobs that this region has ever seen. But the thing I want to call out today is, of course, there's lots of our other sectors. So we talk about hospitality and professional services, but manufacturing is right at the heart of that recovery. So areas that we've particularly called out, and this plan, if anyone wants to look at it, it has all the detailed numbers of where is that 100,000 coming from, exactly which sector, exactly which project. So whether it's HS2, whether it's the Commonwealth Games, whether it's actually building our transport networks across the West Midlands, or whether it's the revival of our advanced manufacturing, and in particular, the new sectors like life sciences I keep mentioning there, and the wonderful park in South Birmingham, or of course, the green manufacturing sector that we're going to see. And the expectation is that sector alone will deliver about 7,000 jobs for the West Midlands in the next couple of years. So really exciting. And then to finish, it also in this plan calls out, as others have already said, the critical importance of the training element. Some things, of course, we're funding directly in the combined authority, like our sector-based work academies, to give some of those basic skills in the growing areas with all of our colleges. Of course, we've supported the Institutes of Technology. And of course, we're looking at additional funding for SMEs for higher level apprenticeships as well through our Apprentice Levy Transfer Fund. But I absolutely get how this is critical. And of course, we've put our own money on the table for our Automotive Skills Fund as well. So hopefully lots that we are doing absolutely supports your objective. But the main purpose of today is just to wish you extremely good fortune for the coming week, because your project is quite incredible. And I'm sure there'll be people who see their opportunity in the course of the next week whose career will be changed forever. So thank you very much, Yasmin, for giving me just a brief few moments to wish you well for what you've done and the longer term success of the organisation, of course. Thanks very much.
Wow, great. Thank you for that, Andy. Some really great words and some great mentions of what else is going on within the manufacturing sector and the way you can get involved. So thanks again, Andy, for joining us. Before I hand back over to Jason to give us any final words, am I okay to take a picture, Andy, that you can be, so that we could use for our socials? Perfect. So in 3, 2, 1, just give me a smile. Perfect. So I'll use that on our socials later today, along with a link to this speaker introduction. But thank you very much for joining us today, Andy. I realise you may have a busy schedule, so if you're happy to now, you can pop off if you need to.
Good luck with the campaign, again. Andy.
Oh, thank you very much. That's very generous of you. Thank you. I didn't mention that at all. Cheers, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, I'm just happy just to conclude that if you've logged in directly from Zoom and you now want to go to the exhibition hall, if you go to madefutures.com, if you're a job seeker, go to madefutures.com. If you're a member, go to madeinthemidlands.com or madeinyorkshire.com. So members should log in via their normal dashboard, navigate to the exhibition. Job seekers go to madefutures.com. We did create around 1,000 of the accounts for you. If for whatever reason that's not set up, then create yourself a new account. Once you're through the login page, you'll see a lobby area. There's a few different areas. So you've got the skills hall, you've got the careers hall, you've got the auditorium, which contains all of the events. So whilst you can connect via Zoom, you can also connect directly from the platform. You just need a web browser to be able to search for those. You can navigate all of the exhibition stands. So if they've got jobs, it'll be on there. And just a final comment. We're doing a daily competition called Find the Golden Banner. So in each of the exhibition stands, you'll see, or you may see, because we're only going to do it for 1 hour per day, a golden stand hiding on one of our exhibition stands. And the first to find that will win a prize. So we've got prizes every day.
Perfect. Thank you very much for that, Jason. So any final words from Charlie or Ilona before we head out today?
I think just to make sure that whoever's here today, make sure you join us for the rest of the week's events, because we've got so much on our schedule, so many opportunities to engage. So I think I see it just as a day one. And yeah, I wish everyone a successful week.
Perfect. Thank you for that, Ilona. Any last words from you, Charles?
Yeah, just to the, I think 70 odd job seekers on the call. If you've not got one, register and create yourself a LinkedIn profile and start to populate it and make it as easy as possible for people to find you. Yeah, hopefully this will be a great differentiator, but be vocal, ask questions, engage with people, and they're all here to meet you. So best of luck, and thanks again for logging in.
Thanks very much for that. So I'd just like to say a couple of last words as well, everybody. So thanks for joining us today and being part of the exhibition and with the Made Futures project. We hope you all do have a successful exhibition. And if you are an exhibitor, you can support the job seekers in your local area further by joining the events that Ilona just mentioned. So Meet Britain's Makers, if you can be there, please be there. And for everybody else, so any job seekers, good luck in finding your new role in manufacturing, and also remember to head to the auditorium to attend these events. So good luck again, everybody, and we hope you all have a wonderful week. Bye bye.
Thanks.